Hello crafty friends, this is the Paper Chef here. In today's Brother ScanNCut tips and tricks video, I would like to go over what the cut area setting is. Now in my last tips and tricks on auto layout, Sheila Gann asked, can I use 8.5 by 11 paper with the ScanNCut? This is mostly what I use since I like to use Stampin Up paper. If I can, how do I adjust the mat so that I don't cut off my paper and I actually cut into my mat? Okay, well, Sheila, this video will answer that question. Here is a piece of 8.5 by 11 Bermuda Bay cardstock by Stampin Up. I mostly use Stampin Up cardstock as well, unless I'm making things for kids, but every time I'm making things for adults, I use my really good cardstock like by Stampin Up. Okay, we're gonna rub the Stampin Up 8.5 by 11 onto the mat. Okay, so let's now go to pull the machine closer, and I'm just going to go ahead and load the mat like I normally would. Let me just turn my camera a little bit so you can see that. Sorry for so shaky. Okay, stop shaking. Is that the camera or my machine that's shaking? It doesn't matter. It stopped shaking. Okay, we're going to use this button here. Okay, we are going to load the mat. Okay, now we're going to go into the settings. Okay, we're going to go to settings and we're going to say cut area. Okay, cut area is right up here on the first page. Now in the cut area, you have two main options. That's if you're using a 12 by 12 mat. You would just leave it at this cutting area. That's the default, 11.73 by 11.65, because it can't cut out to the very edge of the mat. If you're using a large mat, 12 by 24, you can change it to this cutting area, 23.74 by 11.65. However, if you change it to this and you don't put in the right mat, it will not let you cut anything, and you'll be wondering why. So be sure that you bought the extended mat if you're going to use that one. Let's go back to 12 by 12 because that's the kind of mat we're using. But we don't want it. We don't want to cut 12 by 12. We want to cut 8.5 by 11. Okay, let me get my stylus. And what you're going to do is you're going to resize this area. Okay, so to 8.5 by 11. You could even make it a little smaller, but I don't want to do that because I actually want it to say 8.5 by 11 because I'm going to make 4 card bases, and I don't want it to tell me I don't have enough room when I know I really do have enough room, or close to it, right? It's kind of hard to get it exactly on 8.5 by 11, but that's close enough. Okay, let's say, okay. Now we're going to go to pattern. We're going to go to square, and we're going to click on the square. And to change it to a rectangle, you just uncheck this option of staying in proportion. This option here, like if you just change the height and the width, they stay in proportion. But if you want to make it a rectangle, you have to check this box. Select that. Now I'm going to say, I'm making card bases. That's what I'm pretty much always making. That's why I like to make my tutorials practical. So 5.25 by in width by 4 in height. I know that this is a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Therefore, I know I can fit 4 of these. Because when I have an 8.5 by 11 cardstock, I can make 2 card bases. I mean 2 actual card bases, but I can make 4 card mats, meaning the part which will go on the card base. Okay, let's say set. See what I mean? Now there's my cutting area, and these will fit nicely in there. I have other videos on the background scanning, but that's another way to double check that you're within that area. But see that the area that's grayed out is the area we can't cut on. I'm very happy with that. I'm going to say cut. Now, before I actually hit the cut button, I just like to always go over my settings. I'm using a ScanNCut CM350 or Brother ScanNCut 2. I'm using a blade depth of 5 because I'm using Stampin Up cardstock, the regular cardstock. And we're going to say start. And I like to either make sure that I'm rubbing my paper to make sure it stays on tight, or sometimes I use painter's tape to make sure it stays on tight. My speed is not very fast right now, but that's okay. Slow and steady wins the race. I'm cutting those card bases so that I can show you how efficiently we use this piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Okay, there you go. I'm going to unload the mat. I'm going to peel off the cardstock, just so you can see this. Push this back, and look at that. We cut 4 card bases out of a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. We stayed within the cutting area because we determined that. We didn't even need to do background scanning or anything because we already knew the cutting area was the area where we were putting our paper or our cardstock. We have a little bit to spare. We utilized the most we could out of this piece, and now this, you can't even save the scrap. There's hardly anything left. Okay, so the other way, of course, is to eyeball it, you know, because the mat, it does have inch marks, but I think this, using the cut area feature, works a little better than eyeballing it. All right, so Sheila, again, that video, or this video, was dedicated to you, and I hope my other crafty friends benefit from this tip and trick as well. Until next time, this is the Papered Chef.